When you think of impossibility as a human being, what comes to mind? Is it that the moon landing might have actually been faked and never happened at all? Or are you like me, where you constantly think about the fact that Bigfoot might be out there right now, striding across the forest floor, toned thighs, massive legs, and humongous feet, balls swinging between them? These are things that we often think about as impossible and our brains can't conceive. Similar to all the aforementioned ideas and topics, my mind also jumps to the Chaotic trading card game. Ended 2010. We grew up with it in our childhood, and we've been eagerly awaiting its return. Finally, in the year of our Lord, 2026, we were graced with the news that the game would be coming back late October, exclusively in North America, and then hopefully eventually worldwide. There was jubilee, there was joy and excitement ringing through the air. And much like you guys, I was mega excited. I grew up with the game, and I'm super stoked to see it come back, and I can't wait to get back into the competitive scene, the collecting scene, so on and so forth. But you got to remember, with much joy must also come much sadness. And that's going to be the topic I'm going to be tackling in today's video. I've been looking through Facebook, YouTube, and Discord and seeing all the discourse that has started over Chaotic's return. So much information that we've been given within the past 24 to 48 hours regarding card design, prices, so on and so forth. And there's just been a wall built up between the sides of the fence of people that are excited for the game to come back, but the people that are also excited, but for some reason, it's not what they wanted when the game came back. So I'm just confused, and it really irked me and struck a nerve with me that I just had to talk about it. As I said, I'm going to be going over the different information that we have thus far and the different opinions and varying opinions that people have, and just kind of giving my thoughts and opinions on it and seeing if maybe, just maybe, we can get through and have some common ground between us. Because, as I said, we've been waiting for this game for 16 years to come back, and the last thing that I want is for you and me to just be arguing back and forth about it's not exactly what I would have wanted versus this is exactly what I wanted, you know? Kind of as a jumping off point, I wanted to start with the first common thing that I've been hearing from the Negative Nancy side of the fence. The first thing would be the game should have, started from where it left off, and, we're pretty plainly, as you can see here, getting a reboot of the original set, and we're going to kind of just launch off from there. I really just take an issue with that, because if you look at, let's say Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, they're very, generational, where they'll have new characters, new story, maybe a couple new mechanics, but it's always a jumping off point of we're introducing new people, new players, new collectors, whatever have you, into this world that has been built up by these different companies. Similarly, I'd equate it to, let's say I handed you a book and said, hey man, read this book. It's really good. And you go, okay, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and read through it. But the only caveat is you have to start in the middle of the book. It just wouldn't make sense, would it? Right? I could be smoking the hopium here, but, to me, that just doesn't make sense. When you're trying to relaunch a game that just disappeared out of nowhere, and you have this huge fan base like we've built up over all these years and have been waiting for it to come back, I'd personally want it to start on the best foot possible and take the steps necessary, slowly but surely, working it back into that mainstream and trying to compete, especially in a broad sea of TCGs that we have right now. I'd want it to go as slow as it needs to make sure it succeeds. And if that involves rebooting and, restarting, then, that's just where it is. And think about it too. We all grew up with this, and a lot, at least personally I did. A lot of us grew up with this, and we're aware of how, at this point, about how business operates and how it should look to make sure something succeeds, right? So when we have this new generation of kids coming in who have never heard of Chaotic, right? They're still over there Fortnite emoting, right? We want to have a good soft landing pad for them to sit on as we introduce them to the game and give them a good starting point like we did back in the day. Now, on the other side of that fence, to kind of play devil's advocate, if you will, I can understand a level of concern, right? So when I do again look at a launch of a TCG and wanting it to be successful, there's room to be excited, but also I think there is some sort of merit and room to be critical, right? Because if you think to yourself, "Oh, here we go again. It's going to launch. It's going to be out for a few years and then crumble and die again." I totally get that. And I think if you are overhyped and overexcited about it, you might be missing, that level of influence you could have on the design as the game comes out. Because obviously we have a bunch of content creators. We have a bunch of people behind the scenes working with the people overseeing and running Chaotic, kind of giving their input. So we want to find that and strike that balance of, if we're blinded by our excitement, we won't see what's actually needing to be fixed and changed versus, just straight up hating on the game just because, like, it's not what I would have wanted for a card design, so yeah, I'm not going to play it. Just let's try and find that middle ground. Let's try and find that balance between it. So in terms of that level of complaint, I can totally understand that we do want to try and make sure that it is, like I said before, starting off on the best foot possible, making sure that it succeeds in every single avenue. All right, the next part that I wanted to kind of take a deeper dive into, get deeper into the weeds, if you will, is this design of the new Chaotic cards. So real quick, this is the actual original design of the cards as we knew it back in the early 2000s. And we'll go ahead and use Maxor here as an example, right? So if we look at Maxor, on the left-hand side, going top to bottom, you have these little symbols here representing courage, power, wisdom, and speed. Right-hand side, you have the elements being earth and fire. And then at the bottom, that little extended bars where the code would go. Bottom right, it's empty right now, but that's where the energy would be, or the health of the character. And then bottom left, finally, we got the music counters, or essentially your ability to cast spells, as we know them, music. But yeah, super nostalgic design, super iconic design, for those that grew up with it. I know some people, even just in passing, will recognize, oh yeah, I think I've seen those somewhere before. Very, very good, for lack of a better term, mid-2000s design. I think it's a really well-designed layout, and I think everything about it is great. But if we take a look here, these are the new designs of the cards. Again, this is all placeholder. I'd like to clarify as clearly as possible. This is all placeholder, subject to change, not what the final designs of the cards should be. So anything I say here, whether or not they're my ideas, whatever, this is at least what we have for now to go off of. And kind of looking at these new card designs, you can see they still keep the theme of the code at the bottom, stats on the left, elements on the right, so on and so forth. And it's very similar to what we had before, just more borderless, more full screen kind of, right? And if you have watched the original show, you'll notice it kind of represents and looks like what it would be in the show, where they touch screen their hands and move the creatures over to their grid and decide what creatures they wanted to use. It looks more show accurate than it did before, right? So kind of going into my personal thoughts on the new design here, it looks similar enough. I mean, it doesn't have a text box down at the bottom that you can blatantly see for the effect. It's kind of like a mid to low opacity white border, or box there. Again, to give it that full art looking effect and that borderless looking effect. This has been a huge, again, subject of controversy and topic and, discourse amongst a bunch of people of, does this look good? Does this look bad? In my opinion, I think it looks great. There's a few changes I think it would make. I think I would make the symbols, whether it be elements, whether it be disciplines or stats, I think they should be colored like they were in the original. I think it would give a little bit more color depth rather than here's the artwork and here's the stats. They're all white. I think it would give it a bit more depth if we kept all those elements and stats the same colors. Again, subject to change. Who knows? They might actually color them in and it'll be great, and that'll solve all my complaints. But to get to the deeper issue here, on people not liking the full art aspect of it, personally, if we look at Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, what have they all been doing recently? They've been going full arts. They've been going, illustration rares, secret illustration rares, borderless in Yu-Gi-Oh's case, right? And why are they doing it? because it's eye candy, right? For me, I'm going to collect them regardless. I know you are probably going to collect them regardless, rather. But from a business standpoint, marketing standpoint, and selling standpoint, I feel like the borderless stuff, the illustration, if you will, matters and actually plays a huge part in the selling point of these cards. So I think it's a genius idea of having them all borderless, so it doesn't feel like, oh, here's another 50-cent common, great, it's useless. Each card I feel like you'll be like, wow, this is my favorite creature. I love the design. It looks cool. It doesn't have anything more, anything less than any of the other things do. Obviously, secret rares, ultra rares, probably foiling stuff. That's all stuff you can look at in a different light. But generically speaking, the full arts and everything, I feel like do give it more marketability, do give it more collectability, and do let you connect to a creature on a deeper level or a certain character on a deeper level. So personally, I love these designs, and I have a background in game design and development and a degree in that too. I think this is a great design, and I think it will help succeed beyond our expectations, and I definitely think it fits the game more. Again, playing devil's advocate here, as I did before, I do think, again, there is the room to be critical here of, you can maybe want to make some adjustments, maybe change a couple things about it. But again, if you're setting it up to fail or wanting it to fail, it's going to fail, right? So just take with a grain of salt. Again, these are placeholders. These aren't final designs. They are probably and most definitely going to change before the game comes out. Maybe have some ideas for an adjustment. Don't just go at it with this sucks, I don't want it, right? It's just a bad mentality and a bad place to be at. And personally, I think there are things to enjoy and things to not like. And again, our feedback is important. So make sure we're giving that feedback to people who do have an influence, people who do have a say in what all this stuff looks like, and we can make a change. Now, as a final little tidbit here, jumping into the kind of side note stuff outside of the main topic I wanted to tackle, we did get some information on pricing stuff, or tentative pricing. Again, I'm making disclaimers. It's all subject to change. It's not gospel, so don't take my word for it. But tentative pricings, as you can see here. So for a booster box, we got 18 packs per box, 10 cards per pack, 6 boxes per case. For those that are going to buy cases, I probably will, because, I've been eagerly sitting here, itching my neck waiting for the game to come back. So I definitely want to dive, head first into it as much as I can. But booster boxes, they have listed $90. That's insane if we think about it. Back in the day, 36 booster packs in a Pokemon box cost me around $100. That's nuts. To even think about or, try and conceive nowadays is insane. A Pokemon booster box, second it comes out, $500 and you can have it. That's ridiculous. Obviously, scalpers are going to do what scalpers do. I think we will be able to have some sort of countermeasures against it, hopefully make a difference in the scalping side of things. But MSRP, as it sits right now, assuming this is all accurate, $90. Absolutely amazing price. I think is super fair. And then that kind of equates to $5 a pack, which is insane. You picture Pokemon, you're paying about $7, $8, to $10 a pack for Pokemon cards. I think this is really fair personally. And then going on to the starter decks, which these ones, from what I'm seeing, if I kind of can guess correctly, this seems to be a 2-player starter deck to where you can buy one and you and your friends can kind of bust it out and play it immediately, fresh off rip. Kind of similar to how I've seen, some Magic decks or Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh packs back in the day. They would just be 2 starter decks, smaller than usual, but playable. Or in Chaotix case, a 3v3 format. We're looking at $25. 2 foundation decks, 2 card mini packs, rulebook, playmat, everything you need to get started. I think it's great. $25 seems perfectly fair. If you're going to buy just a single starter deck, we're looking at 26 cards, 12 foundation decks per display, and 6 displays per case. Again, if you're a vendor or if you're just wanting to have mass amounts and you've just been waiting to spend your money on Chaotic, $15 for a starter deck. If you're just the average, Joe Dombrowski from Alaska waiting to get his hands back on Chaotic, $15. pretty average. It's not bad. One foundation deck, two card mini packs. I think it's great. I think it's great. All these prices seem to be super fair, super good, and hopefully, again, that they stick to around that price. We'll see, obviously, how that whole nasty market side of things adjusts. But to me, this seems super fair. I'd love to know what you guys think on it. And then lastly, going to the designs that we have seen for the booster boxes, booster packs. If you look at these, again, these are very obviously placeholder things. If these are final designs, personally, not what I would have done for them. I would have put more notable characters on there, make them more recognizable. And with the booster box, you want something that catches the eye. Put Max or KO or whatever notable creatures you want on there. But yeah, I think if they keep general booster pack design how they are here, I think they're fine. But booster box, decks, they'll probably be changed as we get closer to the release date. We'll get more fine details and actual images of what the final products are going to look like. If you guys remember back in the day, we did have the metal scanner tins that we would get for Chaotic. I'd imagine they're probably going to be a little bit more, laid back when it comes to that and kind of chill to start. And then maybe down the line for special edition things or collector's things, then you'll get the metal scanners. But to start, I would expect probably, you see the little hangable things here. I'd expect them to be a little bit more low quality. Just you open them, they're cardboard, whatever. Get your packs, open it, awesome. Just be very, don't be super optimistic on it. Down the line, I can't imagine we'll probably get more, metal, solid collector's pieces for you guys to have. So don't fret there. I'm gonna assume we'll probably get those down the line. But yeah, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to kind of speak what was on my mind and hopefully give you guys a little bit of perspective on both sides of the fence here on maybe why it would be good or bad to have certain design choices, or why it's good or bad to start fresh or to pick up from where we left off with the Chaotic show. I would obviously love to see the new, the same characters that we've had before, but if we have completely new characters, it's a new generation, new look at it, new perspective. Come at it with an open mind, and yeah, seriously, just relax a little bit. We've been waiting 16 years for this to come back. Let's take a moment to really just enjoy the fact that, this couldn't have happened at all. This might not have happened at all in a different universe. We could still be sitting here sad and, not that playing with the old cards is bad, but we could be sitting here thinking, man, what if? That is all I have for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you excited? Are you sad? Are you happy? Are you mad? I sure hope you're not. Hopefully this gave you some sort of insight. And yeah, I'll be posting more content as the game releases. I'll be doing, deck profiles, my tournament runs, assuming, organized play is a prevalent thing in the new game. And I'll be giving you guys news as we receive it. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff that you've heard a million times from everyone on YouTube. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, guys.